Long before Julia Louis-Dreyfus became the queen of television comedy, before she was winning Emmys year after year, before Seinfeld and Veep made her a cultural legend, she was a young girl with a dream so stubborn that even failure couldn't scare it away. Born into privilege, many assumed her path would be easy, but Julia never wanted an easy life. She wanted a meaningful one. Her father was a billionaire businessman, yet Julia chose laughter over luxury, passion over predictability. From the start, she had an energy that filled every room she entered, not loud, not boastful, but electric. She didn't just want to make people laugh. She wanted to make them feel. At Northwestern University, Julia found her calling on stage. Comedy wasn't just fun for her, it was freedom. It was the place where she could be bold, imperfect, and unstoppable. Her talent caught attention quickly, and before she even graduated, Saturday Night Live came knocking. It was a dream come true, or so she thought. But dreams often arrive dressed as challenges. At just 21, Julia was thrown into the chaotic world of SNL, surrounded by older comedians, intense competition, and an environment that didn't always welcome women equally. Her humor was sharp, her instincts brilliant, but the system wasn't ready for her. Sketches were cut. Her voice was sidelined. She felt unseen in the very place she thought she belonged. Many would have walked away, bitter or broken. Julia didn't. She walked away stronger, wiser, and determined to build her own place in comedy. One where her brilliance couldn't be ignored. That resilience became her secret weapon. Every no she faced became fuel. Every setback became a setup for her next chapter. And that chapter would be one of the most iconic in TV history, Seinfeld. When she auditioned for the role of Elaine Beanies, no one could have predicted what would follow. Elaine wasn't just funny, she was revolutionary. She wasn't a sidekick, a stereotype, or a supporting act. She was smart, unapologetic, flawed, and fiercely funny. Julia brought her to life with such precision that Elaine became one of the most influential female characters ever written. Through Julia's comedic genius, women saw themselves. Loud, imperfect, opinionated, real. But what most people didn't see was the discipline behind the laughter. Julia worked relentlessly, studying timing like a musician studies rhythm. She didn't chase fame. She chased excellence. Seinfeld became a phenomenon, and suddenly Julia was part of television history. Yet even amid global fame, she never lost her grounding. She wasn't intoxicated by celebrity. She was inspired by craft. After Seinfeld ended, many wondered if she could ever top it. The industry whispered that lightning never strikes twice. But Julia didn't listen. She was too busy writing her own weather. With the new adventures of old Christine and later Veep, she didn't just return. She redefined herself. Each role she played became sharper, bolder, more fearless. She evolved from America's funniest woman into one of its most powerful storytellers. When Seinfeld ended in 1998, it felt like the end of an era. The show wasn't just a sitcom. It was a cultural revolution that changed how the world viewed comedy. And at its center was Julia Louis-Dreyfus, the woman who made millions laugh without ever needing a punchline explained. Yet as the final credits rolled, Julia found herself at a crossroads. She was beloved, successful, and iconic, but she was also labeled. Hollywood had a cruel habit of boxing people in, especially women. To them, she was Elaine, the funny friend, the supporting act, the lightning in a bottle that could never be caught twice. Many told her to quit while she was ahead, to fade gracefully into the nostalgia of sitcom history. But Julia had no intention of fading. She knew something most people didn't. Success isn't a peak. It's a process. Her next moves were quiet but deliberate. She took on projects that allowed her to explore new sides of herself as an artist, not just as a comedian. Some shows failed, some scripts didn't work, and critics were quick to judge. They called it the Seinfeld curse, claiming no cast member could ever match that magic again. Julia read those headlines, felt their weight, and smiled. She knew curses only hold power if you believe in them. She believed in growth, and growth requires risk. When the new adventures of old Christine premiered in 2006, people were skeptical. But Julia turned skepticism into triumph once again. Her portrayal of Christine Campbell, a divorced single mother juggling chaos with sarcasm and grace, was both hilarious and heartbreakingly human. Audiences connected instantly. The show proved that Julia wasn't a one-hit wonder. She was a one-of-a-kind force. Her work on Christine earned her another Emmy, breaking the so-called curse and silencing doubters. But Julia wasn't just interested in proving people wrong. She was redefining what it meant to be a woman in comedy. She wasn't there to play the pretty sidekick or the punchline. She was there to lead, to create stories where women were complex, intelligent, and unapologetically funny. Each laugh she delivered came with a message, that humor is power and power doesn't need permission. And then came Veep. If Seinfeld made her a star, Veep made her immortal. Playing Selena Meyer, a ruthless, ambitious, often absurd vice president, Julia shattered every mold. She wasn't America's sweetheart. She was America's satire. The role demanded everything: timing, vulnerability, courage, and the willingness to be ugly in pursuit of truth. Julia gave it all. Week after week, she turned political chaos into comedic art, earning 6 consecutive Emmys and breaking every record in television history. Her performance was so sharp, so fearless, that even real politicians admitted Veep felt more real than reality itself. Behind the scenes, Julia became a mentor and leader, encouraging younger comedians and writers to trust their instincts and never let fear of failure dictate creativity. She believed that the best art comes from authenticity, from the courage to be misunderstood while you're still creating. Her confidence wasn't arrogance. It was the quiet certainty that comes from surviving failure and coming out stronger. But Julia's story wasn't just one of laughter. It was one of resilience in the face of pain. In 2017, she revealed her diagnosis with breast cancer. The world paused. The woman who made millions laugh was suddenly fighting for her life. But even in that darkest moment, Julia met fear with humor. Her courage became a light for others. Between treatments, she continued working, continued laughing, continued inspiring. She refused to let illness define her. And when she beat cancer, she did it not as a celebrity, but as a warrior who never lost her grace. Julia's comeback wasn't loud. It was powerful. She returned to Veep to finish its final season, delivering performances with even greater depth, humor, and humanity. Her story became more than success, and it became survival, purpose, and gratitude. She showed the world that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it simply endures. When Veep concluded its final season, Julia Louis-Dreyfus stood at the peak of her career, not just as a performer but as a pioneer. She had become the most awarded actor in television history, a record that didn't come from luck or timing, but from decades of fearless reinvention, persistence, and excellence. Yet even with walls of trophies, Julia never saw herself as someone who made it. To her, success was not a finish line, but a lifelong conversation with one's own purpose. She often said that laughter was her compass, the light she followed through every storm, and it was that very light that turned her name into a legacy. But her real triumph wasn't the fame or the accolades. It was how she built a career entirely on authenticity, never chasing trends, never compromising her integrity, never becoming someone else to stay relevant. She didn't just make people laugh. She made them believe that laughter could heal, connect, and empower. After Veep, Julia could have chosen rest, a comfortable retirement decorated with awards and admiration. Instead, she chose impact. She began producing projects that championed women, diversity, and creative freedom. She mentored emerging artists, pushing them to write their truths without fear of rejection. For Julia, comedy wasn't just entertainment. It was truth-telling wrapped in laughter. She believed humor was a mirror, the kind that reveals who we are and who we can become. And she wanted to leave behind more than performances. She wanted to leave behind courage. In interviews, Julia often reflected on her early SNL days, the rejection, the underestimation, the loneliness. But she didn't speak of them with bitterness. She spoke of them with gratitude. Those struggles, she said, were her greatest teachers. They showed her that validation is fleeting, but self-belief is permanent. They taught her that failure isn't the opposite of success, and it's its foundation. Every time she was told she wasn't enough, she quietly proved she was more than enough. Every time a door closed, she built a new one. Her career became a testament to the idea that no one defines you unless you let them. Julia's legacy also expanded beyond entertainment. She became a passionate advocate for environmental protection and social causes. Her voice, always sharp and witty, carried weight far beyond comedy. She used her platform to bring attention to issues that mattered, from climate change to women's rights. Not through lectures, but through humanity. People listened because she spoke with empathy and wisdom, not superiority. She had mastered the rare ability to mix humor with honesty, to make people laugh while making them think. Even her approach to aging in Hollywood, an industry obsessed with youth, became revolutionary. Instead of hiding from time, she embraced it. She saw every line on her face, every chapter of her life, as proof of endurance. "You earn your laugh lines," she once said, "and they're worth keeping." She became a symbol of timeless brilliance, proof that talent doesn't fade, it evolves. Young actresses looked up to her not just because she was successful, but because she was real. In an age of curated perfection, Julia's authenticity was her crown. As years passed, she continued to evolve, not as someone chasing past glory, but as someone creating new beginnings. She ventured into film, voice work, and production with the same passion she had as a 21-year-old dreamer walking into SNL. That young woman who once felt unseen had become the woman who made others visible. Her laughter had become legacy, her journey a blueprint for resilience. But Julia's true brilliance lay in her humility. Despite her achievements, she remained grounded, approachable, and gracious. She often credited her success to teamwork, to writers, co-stars, and crews, always acknowledging that greatness is rarely built alone. Her kindness off-screen became as legendary as her comedy on-screen. In a world that often confuses fame with worth, Julia reminded everyone that true success is measured not by applause, but by impact.